Alright guys, Raider D here, back at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about why I'm a Raiders fan and what made me start this journey in YouTube, connecting with all of you guys. And more importantly, I want to hear from you. Why are you in love with the silver and black? Why do you support the Raider Nation so much? Why are you a Raider fan? And another controversial issue I've seen floating around, and I've never really understood the backstory despite being a Raider fan for a gazillion years. Is it Raider fan or Raiders fan? Which side of the fence are you on? Because I've been called out both ways and by Raiders fans, Raider fans. I don't get it. I don't know where that comes from. So please school me, Raider D, here on the Raider D podcast. Drop a comment down below. Is it Raider fan? If so, why? If it's Raiders fan, if so, why? I mean, it is the Las Vegas Raiders, not Raider. So you guys let me know. But first, coffee. All right, had my little coffee break. That was delicious. A nice little raspberry croissant to go with it. And now I am feeling good. I'm chill. I'm relaxed. Got a little bit of energy with the caffeine of the white chocolate mocha coffee. Let's jump in today's video. What is it about being a Raiders fan for me that I spend so much time of my day and my life for over 2 decades being a Raiders fan? Man, it's pretty simple. I'm from the Bay Area, California. As a teenager and adult, I lived in the Bay Area, and that's where I was really introduced to the Raiders. The Raiders had just come back to Oakland. That's where I was living. It was fantastic. And for me, it was the culture. I grew up without a father, so for me, there was nobody there to be like, come on, son, let's sit down at Sunday. Let's watch this game together. I loved playing football, so I played football, and that was a lot of fun, but I never really had an NFL team. Being in California, born and raised. When I moved to Oakland at 17 years old, that's when I really got introduced to Raider culture. Living in Oakland, it didn't matter if you were poor, you would do whatever it took to be able to go see a game. And fortunately back then, watching a Raiders game was not that expensive. For me, you could get into a game for $35, which if you don't have money, that's expensive. But for other people, you could afford it, you could get in. And the first time I was in the Oakland Coliseum, it was a whole different level of experience of being a Raiders fan, because when you're in there, you feel the history of that building, and every imperfection in that building spelled Raiders football for me. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the Oakland Coliseum. I fell in love with the Raiders, and I was hooked. So from 17 on, for me, it's been a 30-year journey now at 47 of loving the Raiders, supporting the Raiders, following the Raiders. That's kind of what got me to this point where I'm in front of you on YouTube and other social media, covering the Raiders, talking about the Raiders, making connections with the Raiders organization, with players. We're going down here pretty soon to do our biggest video yet down with the Raiders. That's going to be amazing. And all of this culminated into where we're at today. It's during the hardest times of my life, stressed out, broke. A game would come on, and granted, if I was able to see the game, if it wasn't blacked out, which a lot of us Raiders fans know all too well how that feels, when the game came on, all of my stress left. It didn't matter if I didn't have a penny in my pocket. If we won, I was set for the rest of the week. I could pretty much handle just about any type of stress, negativity, stuff that comes into my life. It did not really matter. I could handle it. That's what the Raiders is for me. That's what makes me love the Raiders so much. Following them over this past 3 decades, we've had a lot of ups and downs. In 2002, we had arguably the best team in the NFL. And Rich Gannon and company were handling business. We had a decent defense. We were kicking butt and taking names. And I thought for sure we were going to come home with a Super Bowl trophy in 2002. But alas, we had to go up against our old head coach who built that entire team as well as that offense. And he told his defense exactly what to expect from the Raiders, even all the way down to the audibles and the verbiage that we were using in those audibles at the line of scrimmage. And so they beat us up pretty bad in that game, and it was so disappointing. I thought for sure the next year we'd be able to get back there and make things right, but we didn't. We were horrible the next year. Bill Callahan ended up getting fired, and we went through this whole series of having a bunch of different coaches and offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators, all the way up until the absolute and utter disaster of Josh McDaniels. Now we got a guy named Antonio Pierce. And how do we feel about Antonio Pierce? Well, I feel excited. I feel great. I think Antonio Pierce has this team lined up in the right direction. I would have liked to see us win that first preseason game against the Vikings. Didn't happen. No big deal. We were crushing them 20-7 at halftime with our players who are going to be out there on a day-to-day basis. And there were some standouts that really impressed me. DJ Glaze played almost flawless football out there. He had one play out of his 16 snaps or so. He had one play where he got beat. The rest of them, if he can play like that with starters in the regular season, this dude could be a Pro Bowler, perennial Pro Bowler, an all-pro team kind of guy. Jack Jones, again, highlighting why he is so special in a preseason game, highway robbery. If it was regular season, I guarantee you he would have tried to make a pick six on that interception. This hopefulness that we go through every year as Raiders fans. We're hopeful that the Raiders are going to be good. But are we going to end up being good? Well, we went through 9 years of Derek Carr and no defense. And so we'd be hopeful that the offense would be able to make everything work. But it never really panned out that way. And now we're in another quarterback situation of we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Now, if you're watching this in the regular season or in 10 years from now, you know who the quarterback was. But as of the recording of this video, we don't know if it's going to be Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. That unknowing of not having a superstar quarterback, it's difficult to deal with. I get it, guys. I totally understand. I'm there with you 100%. I do believe it's going to be Aiden O'Connell. I think with Gardner Minshew, there are some issues with him. Yes, he can win you some games, maybe get you to the playoffs. But long term, is Gardner Minshew going to be the guy? I love him. I would love for him to be super successful. But I got to be realistic and honest. I'm not sure that he's the dude long term. I don't think he has superstar written all over him. I'm not saying Aiden O'Connell does. But with Aiden O'Connell, we don't know if he can be a superstar. We don't have enough history on him. We have plenty of history on Gardner Minshew. So it's another year where we're hopeful, but in the back of our minds as Raiders fans, we're cautious. We're a little pessimistic because we've been through this. We've watched this movie. We know the ending. But I think this year, maybe we don't know the ending. Maybe this year, as Raiders fans, we finally get something to be proud of once again like we used to have. Like when I became a Raiders fan, it was a few years before we even got to a Super Bowl. We weren't that good when I really became, at 17 years old, we weren't that good. But by 2002, we were dang good. I want to see the Raiders get back to that. I desperately want to see the Raiders win. If you guys feel the same way, let me know down in the comments. How bad do you want to see the Raiders win? Because for me, I wish I would have had a dad. I wish he would have been there for me. I wish he would have sat me down as a kid next to him on the couch, eating popcorn and nachos and hot dogs, watching Raiders games. I didn't have that. Do you guys have that with your boys, with your daughters? Fortunately, and for me now, my wife is a big-time Raiders fan now. She watches games with me. She watches highlights with me. She critiques my videos and my opinions from time to time about the Raiders. It's something special that brings everybody together. Do you guys have that? I'm asking you. My being here as a YouTuber, talking to you guys, because that's why I'm on YouTube. Honest, straight up, no BS. I'm here on YouTube talking to you guys about Raiders because I didn't have that growing up. You guys are my Raider family. I appreciate everybody. This has been a wonderful journey so far. 7 months into it and almost 8,000 subscribers. Never thought that would happen. I appreciate you guys. Let's go Raiders, man. Just win, baby.